Time now for another Future Sox video cast. My guest today is Zack Burdi. I'm Clint Cole. Zack, thanks for taking some time today, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think so. Our first interview we did was, I want to say 2 years ago, maybe it was right at the beginning of the season in 2019. And, a lot's happened for you since then. And we were talking before we started, lots happened with your brother since then. And your brother now with the Padres. I know you say he's going to be out this year, but you guys have both had some injury issues and you're battling back and stuff, but you were able to make your debut in this last season, this weird season back on August 8th against the Indians. So before we get into anything else, take me back to August 8th. What was that like for you?
It was awesome. So even before August, whatever, 7th or 6th, I can't remember when I got the phone call, but Getz gave me a phone call. I actually just came back from a walk and it was pretty late and the game had just ended for the Sox and so on and so forth. But I get the call and he tells me and, just overjoyed, crazy, going outside to call my parents and tell them everything. I run into Drew Anderson and he was getting called up at the same time. So that was super exciting to go through with somebody who I grew close to over spring and over summer. And then, so get to the ballpark and just overwhelmed with emotions and just trying to take it all in and really just soak it all up. And walking out to the stadium and across the field, you see all these guys that you want to play against, but you've just never played against. So I see Clev, I see Lindor, I see all these guys that are interdivision guys who I never really came across in the minors. So more so just faces than anything. And I can really now you're on the same field as them. And then along with that too, you get to feel you're just a part of the bigger scheme of things. So in spring, in big league camp, you feel very apart because all the guys are there, everyone's there. And I've experienced it a couple times now where everyone gets shipped out and that feeling just kind of comes to a standstill. So to finally have that feeling and to reach that goal was crazy. And then getting to the game, just jittery the entire time. I can't remember what inning I went in, but whatever inning it was, every inning before that was nuts. And really just trying to stay calm and remember what I was there, or remember what I've been working on in Schaumburg and trying to execute that there. And game happens, everything goes well. Super, super excited. And then, like we talked about earlier, no fans, so they're just pumping crowd noise in. That was super, super weird. And one of those things where you just kind of have to take it as it is. And of course, I wanted my family to be there. I wanted my friends to be there. But just with the climate of the world, obviously, that wasn't going to be a thing. So I think my debut was perfect for what it was. And it's definitely something that I'm going to hold on to. And till this day, really excited about.
A couple things of what you said. So you were talking about players you hadn't faced in the minors. Did you? You pitched what? 11 innings or 7 innings, 7 1/3 innings this past season. Was there anyone that you had faced before? Anyone that you knew, maybe back from college ball or growing up or minors or anything? Was there anyone that you had already faced before?
Growing up, I played it with Nicky Lopez. With KC. We played together for 10 years growing up, but I never actually faced him, just looked across the field, so on and so forth. But man, I can't even, I'm sinking on you. Honestly, I don't even think there was no one in the minors who I really ran across again this year. I think that's only because of the really shrunken schedule and how we played a certain amount of teams. So can't really remember if I ran across anybody, but the guys I did run across were very good, and it was definitely a really good learning experience and humbling to go from Double-A last year and my knee happens and all that stuff to a year later I'm playing where I was hoping to be playing years ago, and just stuff never really fell into place. And it was just a huge weight off my shoulder for sure.
I want to go back to maybe not the finest moment of your a little bit of your first 7 innings here, but against the Cardinals, you have the home run to Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about one of the best hitters in the game. I mean, that's Goldschmidt. But like, what was that? Obviously, it wasn't a good feeling. But when you let that pitch go and you saw that swing, what was your initial reaction? I mean, giving up that first home run.
Frustrated.
Like, you know, as soon as you let it go, that this could be trouble.
I didn't know as soon as I let it go. I knew as soon as it touched his bat, like it just made a different noise. And I mean, it was just one of those things where, like, in the moment, I can't remember. I was like 4 innings into my career, maybe, and you're just riding the highs, like, and you're just like everything like looks so big to you, just sensory overload, and then that happens, and you're like, oh yeah, no, like that's gonna happen a lot more. So like I need to get used to it. But yeah, no, McCann, we talked about it, and he's like, if you're gonna give it up to just give up one. Like, no one's on base, not a big deal. Like, that's going to happen way more in your career, so and so. So it kind of put things in perspective, and was able to take a step back and just realize, like, yeah, that's, like you said, it's one of the best hitters in the game, and those dudes are the best hitters because they get the best of a lot of the guys.
You mentioned McCann. Obviously moved on to the Mets. What was it like working with him in Grandal, and I'm sure you've worked with Zack before, but with those two guys who you might not have worked with as much.
Yeah. So even with Zack, me and Zack really never really.
I guess you didn't really cross paths, did you?
Yeah, we never were on the same minor league team or anything like that, but we were roommates, so we got along really well. We still get along really well. And then Yaz and Mac both being in big league spring this year. This was the first time I crossed paths with either one of them. And it was just really, I guess, unique. I don't know if that's even the right word, but it was definitely something that I've never really experienced, with how much information they're able to retain and how much information. This was even a thing with Keuchel too. Like, they were just very, very capable of remembering hitters, being able to digest like scouting reports and applying to the game in big moments and stuff like that. And I think it's just one of those things where you realize how much a catcher matters, because those are the guys who are putting in the work and doing all those things to make the game easier on your end. And working with Mac, super thankful for everything he did in my short stint, and how he treated me, how he put himself out there for me during games. And Yaz is doing the same exact thing for the guys still. So to have him back with us is super good and really, really great for the upcoming season. And I don't think Zach or Sebi or any of the guys who are going to step up and take Mac's spot, I don't think they're going to skip a beat. I think all those guys are super intelligent and educated, and they're ready to kind of take on that role for sure.
So you talked about the catchers, learning from them, and then in Dallas, but what about some of the other pitchers on the staff? I mean, Lucas seems like a great teammate. I've talked to him a few times. I've talked to Dylan probably the most out of the pitchers in Kopech, but obviously he wasn't there last year. But yeah. Dylan probably the most of the starters. What are some things that you kind of learned from them, and then some of the guys in the bullpen too?
Yeah. So we'll start with the starters. I played with Gio and Trips, and I saw his lowest of lows, and just how he handled that and how he was able to overcome it is still to this day. I mean, one of those things where you look at it and you're just overjoyed for the guy, because I mean, to go from that 2017 season to back-to-back seasons now, 2019 and 2020, where he's finishing top 5, top 10 in the AL Cy Young, and he was an all-star, and just that perseverance and the ability to overcome is something that he doesn't need. Like, he can talk pitching all you want. The guy is super intelligent, but his biggest thing is just watch. Like, you can watch and you can learn a ton from Gio, just his work ethic and all that stuff. And then adding Keuchel, super different dynamic. The guy is a competitor. He comes to the field. He wants to win. He is definitely a guy you want on your side. So that was a really nice change of pace. I guess not really from anything. I'd been out for so long. So I just hadn't really been around somebody like that in a while. And to be around that, I was definitely refreshed. And it was definitely something that I think I needed personally. And it was awesome to be around. But the bullpen, I mean, talk about just dudes who just shut the door. Cordero, the guy gets tossed out there 5 out of 6 days in a row. Doesn't complain, doesn't do anything, just keeps shoving. Marsh, same way. The guy, I mean, these dudes just they grind and they get outs and full of knowledge. And then you got guys like that and Cishek who've been around for a very long minute and have nothing but good things to say. And even when they have to say bad things, they do it in a really good and responsible manner that a lot of young players, especially when I was younger and like in college, that's a really hard thing to learn how to do and to approach guys who need to be talked to and need help getting through some situations. And then you obviously have Colome, who lockdown closer. So like Gio, that's just a guy you watch. You just watch and you just try and digest everything he does because there's a reason he's one of the best in the game.
Talked about the pitchers. Now watching guys like Luis Robert every day and Eloy and Moncada and Timmy and just, I mean, go down the entire lineup.
Yeah.
Lineup. I mean, but I think, you know, obviously you saw them before, obviously, the season, but then now you saw them up close for a month in August or whatever. What is it like seeing guys like Luis Robert play every day, where it's just like, I mean, absolute freak of nature, but just seeing what he does, and Yohan Moncada, who has all the tools in the world. I mean, what's that like from your perspective?
Yeah, so same thing kind of with Yo as Gio. When we played together in Charlotte, he was obviously going through a tough time at the plate, and like you said, everyone knew he had every tool in the world. It was just it was a ticking time bomb until it all came together. And when it did come together, I wasn't around him. So this year, finally be able to see that in person was definitely something that was awesome. I mean, the guy, he works so hard, and he finally found that nice, smooth rhythm where those tools that he had were just being played out. And the guy's a ball player. And I mean, every time he's on the field, it's a show. And I think the same goes for Louis. I saw him for a short stint in AA before he got called up to AAA last year or 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, you saw it from the moment he stepped on the field. He doesn't complain. He's fast. He's strong. He utilizes everything, every one of his strengths. It's an athlete. I saw a quote last year about Tatis Jr. and how I think the manager was like, if he didn't play baseball, he'd be a basketball player. He'd be a wide receiver. It's the same thing with Louis. If Louis didn't play baseball, the guy would be a free safety, just blowing dudes up constantly. Like, he's a pure athlete, and to watch that every day is awesome. It's, as a baseball fan, not even as a player, being able to watch that up close is truly great.
So back in 2018, I was in North Carolina, as I'm sure I've told you before. So, and at the beginning of the season, Luis had his thumb in that cast or whatever. But he, for the media day with the dash, like, he walked out and, like, you know, Miker's a huge dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Robert, I hadn't seen Robert in person before, and he is as big as Miker Adolfo. And it just, like, kind of blew your mind. And because you realize, I mean, both are just outstanding athletes, but then you just see them up close, and it's just like, this dude be a free safety. I mean, he's or I mean, Julio Jones type of deal. I mean, like that type of an athlete, and he's just, the sky's the limit for the entire roster of the White Sox right now, it seems like. And it's a great time for you guys. Getting to some of your pitching, what's something that you realized you needed to work on the most after your stint last season?
I think the biggest thing for me, and I think it's something I've battled with throughout the minors, and it kind of caught up to me this year as well, and it's just a thing of consistency. I think when the stuff's there, it's there, and it's on, and obviously it gets out. But there are days where it wasn't there, and I think you see guys with very long longevity in the league, they just don't have bad days, and if they do, they put an end to it pretty quick. And that's something I learned this year. I wasn't able to slow it down, and after that KC game, I definitely could have shut the door on that and been fine. And went to Minnesota, didn't have a bad outing, just wasn't one that you want right after having a really bad outing. So I think going into this season, it's inevitable. Bad outings are going to happen. So having the mindset of shrinking those and getting back on the right page and sticking to the mechanics and all that good stuff, I think that's a big part of what's going to bring me success this season, and just not making things bigger than they need to be.
How's the health? How are you feeling after last season and now, and kind of what's kind of your off-season workouts? What do they kind of look like?
I feel great. I feel really good. Not having the rehab for my off season and not having to go back from square one is definitely something that makes a huge difference. Getting back in the weight room, I was able to skip this whole 2 to 3 week process where I hadn't been doing anything. I've been laying on a bed, or my arm couldn't even bend because it just came out of surgery. All those things like that catches up to you. And even going into my first season back from Tommy John, like, it's just one of those things where it's really hard to battle when all your muscles are just not even where they need to be. So for me, this off season, it's super important just to build off of what I did the past season and the past 12 months, and just kind of regroup and rethink everything that I went through this season. And I think if I continue to thin out and make sure that my mechanics are where they need to be and my body is staying in shape and healthy, I think everything will come together. And that's kind of the goal of this offseason, is maintaining that thought process.
We talked before we started recording, and I told you what Will had told me last night about not hearing anything yet, but and you kind of told me already, but kind of what's the status? What have you heard so far?
Not much, honestly. It's everyone's preparing for February 17th. Everyone's ready for February 17th. And that's the goal. Just be ready, get out there, and when it starts, it starts. And if you get another call when it doesn't, then go from there. So, but like you said, we talked before, and I mentioned that both sides know that it's February 17th, but if there's the call, there's the call. And it's a little not frustrating, but you're just kind of looking at the tunnel and there's no light. So it's whatever. Obviously the world is in a really crazy spot and there's a lot of stuff going on, and can't really complain about everything. Just kind of have to do, and whatever happens, happens. But
I'm sure, like you mentioned, though, it's the first off season in a long time where you've just been able to do what you need to do and not worry about an injury or something like that. So I'm sure you're ready to go, mentally, physically, to show what you can do in that full season from the beginning. Yeah, no, exactly. Just having to, like I mentioned before, that gap of spring training is great, rehab or not. You're around all the guys, you're having a great time. But once spring training's over and you're still rehabbing, that's a really tough place to be mentally. And then to do it again and the following year was really tough. So like you said, I'm itching to get going. I'm itching for the beginning of the season. I want to show that I'm able to stay healthy throughout the entire year and being a contributor and just help the Sox win and bring a bunch of wins to Chicago. I mean, that's the goal. And I think everyone on the team and throughout the organization, coaches and players, is kind of on the same page with that. One more thing, and then we'll wrap it up. But obviously, Giolito's playoff outing, awesome, and then the next couple games didn't go so hot, as we all know. And then a new manager comes in. What do you know about Tony La Russa? I mean, other than had a lot of success, but I mean, do you know anything else? Have you talked to him? Is there anything along those lines?
I haven't talked to him. Obviously, we're going to have some conversations eventually. From what I know about him, the guy's won. He's won a lot. I'm assuming that's why they brought him on. Everything I've read, he's an absolute freak at digesting the game and breaking it down and making moves accordingly. So I'm excited to watch that. And yeah, I mean, I think it was something that with Giolito, the first outing and the whole playoff series with the Athletics was I was in the stands. So for me, I was watching from a distance and didn't really feel the vibe in the dugout, but there was no quit. Those guys were pulling for each other. Those guys were itching to win, and you could feel the energy, and everyone was putting their best foot forward. Unfortunately, as sports go, it didn't go our way that day, and I think in the long run, I think that loss in that series fired those dudes up, and a lot of those guys are wanting to get back to that situation.
This is the last time. I'll say this is the last time. Last question. So you said you're back in Chicago. We've had a relatively decent winter. I mean, it's not hasn't been awful. But what are you doing in your spare time when you're not working out and throwing and stuff?
A lot of video games, a lot of walking, just playing Madden until my face falls off. I mean, just one of those things where, I think everyone's kind of going through that. If they haven't gone through it already, they will, where they're just trying to fill that gap that was filled by life before, where you're going out and you're doing things and you're being entertained and you're being able to go do all this stuff. But just sitting inside, a lot of quarantine, a lot of working out, and just trying to enjoy the city as much as I can without putting myself in danger.
Are you a Bears fan?
I am a Bears fan. It's going to be a good Sunday.
Do you play as the Bears, or who do you play with?
Oh, I play with the Raiders, but that's a whole different story.
Okay. And then do you ever play the show? I mean, do you ever play baseball on system?
No, but I need to, because everyone's saying that the new games are crazy and just way better than they have been in the past.
I've still got the old PS4 and still a show. I don't know if we'll get the new one or not, but yeah, it's a fun game. It's something I do while I run on the treadmill. I just play baseball and it's just passes the time. It's so nice. But yeah, man, I appreciate this, and I'm glad you're healthy. Stay healthy, and hopefully in a month and a week or so, whatever it is, that you're out there and ready to go. But man, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
That's Zack Burdi, Future Sox podcast, videocast, whatever you want to call it, interview here on January 7th.